Are
Ready?
live. We are live. All right. It'll take a couple seconds for it to pop in. So I'm not seeing it. Oh, there's Miss Dana. Hi, Miss Dana.
Oh,
She
Dana, I love her.
is driving in Oregon this morning, and she is wanting some breakfast.
Uh-oh.
Buttered grits. Oh, I am right there with you, Dana.
Oh, throw a
There we
little
go.
cheese in
There we
there.
go. It's showing up now. Okay. Looks like it's showing up for people. So good morning, everybody. Hi, Miss Dana. We have Miss C's Cottage here with us today. And how would you like us to address you, Miss C?
Let's see.
Miss C? Okay, that sounds wonderful. So those of you who do not recognize Miss C's name will absolutely recognize her SomeBunnies. That is what she is famous for. And I'll tell you what, I've been trying to get Miss C on here for a long time, and she finally agreed to come on. She must have decided I wasn't as scary as I looked.
Well, I just delivered a litter of bunnies, so now I don't have to. I have some extra time before the next litter comes. So,
Oh, nice. Wonderful, wonderful. So, Miss C, other than hi, Donna. I'm not getting my comments on here. Why am I not getting my comments on here?
I don't see. Oh,
There
there
they
they
are.
go.
They all just popped in at one time. Good morning, Jody. Hi, Donna. Hello, Sue. So, okay, so we've got Miss C
Morning,
here today,
Donna.
and Miss C is famous for her SomeBunnies. They're little bunnies that she makes. And how big are they?
About 12 inches,
About 12
maybe
inches. So they're not
14.
little bunnies. They're nice sized bunnies. And
Depends on the yarn that you use too. That makes a
that's
difference.
true. That's true. So usually the first question I ask is how did you get your name?
My name, it's Diana Cummings. So when I was a teacher, the kids couldn't always, my kids couldn't always say Cummings.
Okay.
I taught 3-year-olds. So everybody at school called me Miss C.
Okay.
So when I decided to start crocheting, it was just, my craft room is called Miss C's Cottage, and that's where all
That's
my
sweet.
yarn's stacked up.
That's so sweet. I love that. Hi, Lisa. Oh, good morning, Joe. Good morning. I'm so glad you joined us today. So
Mars is here. Good morning, Mars.
I know we had a lot of fun with her last night. Did you survive all she worked late last night. Did you survive your overtime, Marsh? Poor thing was working late into the night. So Miss C, so that makes sense, Miss C's Cottage. And it's a very, very cute name. And of course we are, hi Jennifer. Of course we are all familiar and all very well love the SomeBunnies. So first of all, how did you get started with the SomeBunnies?
Well, I bought a book by Carrie Lord called Edward's Menagerie. And Carrie started crocheting when she found out she was pregnant for Edward. And she wanted some animals for the nursery shelf. So she taught herself to crochet, and she made a myriad of animals, and one of which was Emma the bunny. And I fell in love with Emma. And then I used to put them in my car, Elmo's car, and we'd drive around. And this world is getting uglier and meaner, and people need to know that they're special, that they're valuable. So I would give them a bunny and tell them, I don't know what your situation is, but would you like some bunny to love you? And that they just became SomeBunnies.
Mm-hmm. That's a great story. And they're so adorable and they're so lovable.
People need to know they're valuable.
Yeah.
That they are special, that they are loved by God. And God gives me the ability to crochet. He keeps my thumbs from rusting shut like the Tin Man. And so I pass that love along in my bunnies and give them out to people who need to know somebody loves them.
Oh, that is,
and it's a reminder, And I don't put mouths on them.
Uh-huh.
So I always tell people, You can tell them anything and they will never share your secret because they don't have a mouth. They can't
Wow.
share. They got big ears. They can listen if you want to yell or cry or scream, but they'll never tell because they don't have a mouth. Awesome,
What
huh?
a great idea. What
Another
a great
God
idea.
thing.
That's perfect for littles. I know so many kiddos are in a situation where they don't feel heard, or they're not heard, and they don't have anybody safe that they can talk to. That's a wonderful idea.
Yep.
Absolutely wonderful idea. So basically you're using the same pattern and you got it figured out. It must be is it a fairly easy pattern, or do you think it's kind of difficult?
Oh no, she was a beginner and it is a very easy pattern, but
Nice.
like most crafters, I've altered the feet and I've altered the ears and I've altered the shape of the bunny's tummy, and
Mm-hmm.
now it's my bunny. It's not Carrie's anymore, but
Absolutely.
hers was the initial
Absolutely.
pattern.
Jody, she does have a channel, but she doesn't have content. So it's just subscriber numbers. Then at some point she'll be able to have a community page. And we will be showing some of the bunnies here in a moment. So we just wanted to talk about them a little. I guess we can show one right now. If you've got one available, you can pop up here for us to see. Let me
Sure.
let me make you the star here.
Y'all know Bailey Nutcher. I made her a bunny, a little gray one, and her neighbor came over and said, "Oh, I love that bunny. Will you make me one?" And Bailey said, "I didn't make this one." And a friend made it, and he said, "Well, do you think she'd make me one?" So Bailey asked me if I would make her friend a bunny, a pink one, for his granddaughter. So I made
how
this.
precious! Look at his little Tommy.
Oh yeah, they all have a little
cute.
poochy tummy. Well, I can't get this in front of the. There you go. She has white feet and a pinker head because it's yarn bee,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a variegated yarn. But you know what? I ran out of tail.
Oh,
So I had to go to Yarnspirations, buy some more Bernat tail yarn. It's their gray rag is what I use for tails. So that just came today. So now I can finish putting the tail on her and get her sent off.
Oh, that is wonderful. Just wonderful.
There's another
look at
one.
that. And you match the. How do you get the the lines to match like that? That's amazing.
That I did color, whatever you call that.
Color coordinate that a little bit.
Yeah, I did. Now you see he's got a nose, but he does not. Whoop. I can't get this camera.
Wait. I got the wrong one here. There we go.
Okay. He's got a nose, but he doesn't have a mouth. Yeah. And he's got big ears. So you can tell him all your secrets, but he'll never share because he doesn't have a mouth.
Wow.
They're so fun.
That is just wonderful.
And this was a Karen cupcake, maybe? Karen something. It was meant to be a hat with a pom-pom on the top. Yeah. But I use their pom-poms for their tails.
What a good idea.
He came out pretty cute.
Yeah.
I was happy with him.
Yeah. So each one is a little bit different. Although you do have a process. You said you do have a process to
I do.
To kind of a sort of an assembly line thing, huh?
Make a head. And then I make the body. And then I start making the legs. And these are usually all four the same, except for some of them. I make a different kind of foot on it, more like a rabbit's foot, a little bit longer, maybe.
Oh, okay.
And then they wind up getting ears. Whoops. You can see this ear is a little bit different than the one on the other bunny. And then when I get them put together, they all go into a bag in a Ziploc with a label on it that tells me who it goes to.
Oh, good idea.
And then it goes in the bucket, and I'll get maybe 3 or 4 of them completed, but not assembled. And then I'll sit down on a Thursday night and assemble all the bunnies, go over to my shipping station, wrap them up and get them ready to mail off on Fridays.
Oh, that is wonderful. So how long from beginning to end, how long do you think it takes to make one?
I can do a bunny in a day.
Wow.
It takes about a half an hour for a leg and about a half an hour, a little bit more for the ears. And so probably about, if I sat down and did it, it would probably take me I don't know, less than 5 hours to do it.
5 hours? Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot of time. And then are there stuff with something, a polyfill type stuff?
Yeah, they have polyfill in them. Bridget, the Queen's Crafts, she puts in her bags when she sends them, she puts a dryer sheet in. And I thought, why can't I put in the bottom of my bunny, in my bunny's bottom, put a dryer sheet in there before I put the fiber fill in? And that way the bunnies will smell good. Yeah, because they like it.
And they have the lavender scent dryer sheets, and you can get the plain ones and then put a drop of oil to scent the oils, the essential oils. And then have that smell on them too.
I love essential oils.
I do too. I'm all
about
the lavender.
Yeah.
Lavender
and peppermint are my favorite. But some yarn doesn't smell good when it comes from the factory. Right. So, yeah. Elmo made me a jar and put some crystal kitty litter in a little bag and put that in the jar. And so sometimes if it doesn't smell good, I'll put the skein of yarn in that jar, close the lid off, and leave it in there for a week. And that helps absorb some of that.
Oh, that's good to know.
Machine chemical smells, whatever it is.
Yeah. I got that one box of yarn, I guess it was in the spring, and it literally smelled like vomit. It was so horrible. I spent weeks putting that thing outside and rotating the yarn. That's a good idea. I think I finally got most of the smell, and I've got it in a pine box now. I don't think it's cedar lined, but it does definitely have the wood smell in there. So I've got it in there. I'm storing it in there now to get, I'd rather have that smell than that horrible smell from that yarn.
You know those little those little organza bags that you get, it just puts like a half a cup of that crystal.
Yeah, I know what you're talking
about. Litter in it. It's white with the little blue speckles. He just puts that in there, and then we throw it in the jar and put the yarn in there, and it absorbs all that odor. That's
amazing.
Kitty litter. It absorbs odor.
I never would have thought of that. Well, I guess odor absorbing is kind of the deal with that stuff. So that is a really good idea. That is that. I'm going to pass that tip along.
I love YouTube. I get so many tips and tricks, and I'm in the process of sorting out my DK yarn from my 4-weight yarn and making a magic ball like Ursula does. And so I can do a couple blankets. But, everybody's got baskets full of yarn stashed over. What do you do with it?
Yep, that's a wonderful idea. I love it. As long as your brain can handle those color changes randomly. Sometimes I can't. Sometimes I can't deal with it. Like on a sweater, I don't think it would bother me at all on a blanket like that, because that's the way it's intended. But like if I see a sweater and they've made it out of, you can always tell when they've used mandala and it, a color change right there, and I'm like, oh, I can't do it. It hurts my brain. So whenever I see anything done with multicolors, I'm like, did you color coordinate that, or is that natural from the yarn? And I'm not going to take that mandala and break it apart into all the different colors. I'm not going to do it. That's too much work. But so it has to be just the exact right project. And maybe if it was a smaller project like a hat, but where it's a sweater and your eyes are really drawn to it, or a shawl, no, I can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm so weird that way.
I have this.
Yep. That's
I think it's a
beautiful.
Karen. It's a Karen one. But I
Yeah.
have this body. And then I have this body.
Ooh, that's
And then I
pretty.
have this body.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
This camera is befuddling me.
I know. It's hard to get used to it. You gotta go the opposite way. It's like when you're driving a boat. You gotta turn the opposite way of where you want to go. Yeah, I'm gasping at you, Dana.
I'll make arms and legs and ears out of this. And so I'll have 3 rainbow bunnies, which is good, but it's a DK weight, so it'll be a smaller bunny.
A little bit smaller.
Yeah.
That's nice.
I love them. Making bunnies makes me happy. It makes me happy.
Mm-hmm.
And like Bailey says, I pray over each one because they need to be filled with more than polyfill. Mm-hmm. And when I get one done, I will set it next to me and look at it, and then I'll begin to make up its story, because each one of my bunnies comes with a story. Mm-hmm. And but God and the bunny have to tell me the story. I don't make them up. I just set that bunny there and I wait a minute, and then it's difficult to explain, but a name will come and a story will come.
Wow.
And I just type it out, and I've got 2 parts in there that are in every one. Mm-hmm. First, the introduction of the fact that this is a SomeBunny and what a SomeBunny is, and then the very last paragraph usually is, this SomeBunny was made for you, so that that somebody loves you unconditionally, just the way you are, or whatever. But those are 2 standard paragraphs that go in there. The rest of it comes. This is my my latest one.
I love that one. He's so beautiful.
This is one for, let me see. This is one for spring, the fiber enthusiast. And you see how big these ears are? Mm-hmm. Those ears are huge. She's home all by herself because her husband is always gone.
Always on the road, yeah.
Yep. And there's no mouth. So this one's going to have a lot to listen to. Mm-hmm. And this was the last tail I had.
So pretty. Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah, I know. Mr.'s a truck driver too, so I understand that. The long times of being gone and hoping, it's like Miss Dana last night, the roads are shut down. She can't get where she needs to be. She's got a load she's got to get delivered. So then that adds the extra stress. Not only is the driving horrific, you've got all the extra stress of all the other stuff that gets put on you. It's being a truck driver is a tough gig. And sitting home worrying about your truck driver is hard work too. And people don't always take that into consideration.
No. And she has time constraints. She's got to get a load here so she can pick up another load and take it somewhere else. So it's you look at the truck drivers and you think, oh, what a life. That would be so fun to just drive all over the country and see things.
See everything. Yeah, you don't see anything but the road. In fact, that's why Mr. and I, that is why we did what we did, where we sold our house and toured the country for 4 years in an RV, because he said, I want to see every place that I have been. I've been everywhere and I've seen nothing. And so that's what we did. We spent 4 years on the road, and we just bought this house. We haven't even been here a year, and just settled. We got here in April or May. We got here, and that's all the longer we've been.
We bought the house.
We bought the house a year ago, but we just got back to it in in April. And that's why we have Morgan in our world, because she was house sitting for us while we were gone. And you know, she's become a part of the family now. I couldn't imagine not having her here with us. It's going to be sad. One of these days she's going to want to move on, and I'm not going to be happy about it.
Doris, did you say that you... Oh no, Dana says she throws her leftover yarn away. You know, I had
understand why though. She's got
she
such limited space there in the truck. Yeah, I understand that.
I have a friend who would take all of her pieces of leftover and tie them together and leave a 3 to 4 inch
the ends
strings hanging and ball that up. And then when she made the Afghan, all those strings were hanging out. So either side you were on, there were strings hanging out. And it was very rustic looking, but it was very comfortable looking too.
I did. I saw something like that, and it looks so neat. Kind of like those. I've seen vests made out of that, where it's got the string hanging down now and then. Yeah, it's really a neat look. Once you get past, I think once you get past us knowing those are ends that didn't get woven in, and realize that it's part of the design, they're really cool looking. And I agree with you. I've seen those, and I really like them. I kind of wish I had done that with my temperature blanket. I think it would have been a cool like accent for each of the color changes.
An extra feature. I think Robbin, we have to give ourselves permission to leave those ends out because it's so ingrained. You know, there are people that will stop and tuck that last end before they'll start a new color. Some people leave them to the ends. Some people tie knots and say the heck with it, you know, and other people take the time to do it. And, you know, you have to give yourself permission to let them all hang out.
Yep, absolutely. And, you know, that's what kept me from doing mosaic crochet for my whole time was
puppy.
I thought the ends, I thought, what am I going to do with all those ends? Well, once I learned you don't need to deal with the ends. And, you know, then I started making this turtle, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever made. And because I was afraid of the ends, and it wasn't even, it was never even an issue. So
now, do you put an envelope border on that and tuck the ends in?
Honestly, this is only my second one. The first piece that I did, we did that live where we learned how to do it, and I did the envelope border, and this is just my little plant pad. So I did do the envelope border, and I learned that, and I liked the way that turned out a lot. But with this particular one, I'm good. It's a pillow cover, and so it'll go. The ends will all be on the inside, and the pillow will be tucked. So once I get her done, I'm getting so close. I think maybe today I'll be finished. So I've got all my ends. Well, when I sew this thing together, the ends will all be tucked in, and you know, because it'll be like this. I'm going to sew across here so the ends won't show. Then when
you won't have to worry about it,
it'll just look like that. Yeah. So we don't have to worry about it. And then the next one that I do, I've already decided I'm going to leave it as fringe on the edges. So yeah, it absolutely depends.
Yeah,
it absolutely depends. But no, I agree with you. I have seen a couple of projects with that, with the tails hanging out from a color change. And I really, really like the way it looks in that kind of a project. So absolutely. Good morning, Spring. We were just talking about you. Are your ears burning?
Oops.
So, hi, Miss Doris.
You suppose that's how fringe got started?
Maybe. It very well could be.
I'm not tucking these in. I'm just going to tie them off and let them hang.
Good. It's a feature.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the hidden border on the mosaics a lot too. And when I do, I got a couple. I have a couple projects coming up with mosaics, and some I'm thinking at first I'm like, because I'm not a real fringe fan, but on some projects I think it looks fine. And like I said, the one I've got coming up is it's a placemat, and I think the fringe will look fine on that.
Yes.
And it's going to be, it's for my grandson, and I know he's not going to, I mean, he'll put it in the middle of the table and set something on top. So it's not going to need to be washed a lot. So the fringe isn't going to get ooky. Something that gets washed a lot, I think the fringe ends up getting balled up and ucky. So, and I also learned on this small project, I think the envelope border was too much. It's too thick for it. So if I did another small project, maybe if I did some coasters, I would leave the fringe. So, you know, and it's like you're saying, every project is different and it needs its own thought process. So you've got to be open-minded. When anytime we're doing things, you've got to be open. And it's just like you said, some of your bunnies need bigger ears than others. And, you know, that's just part of what we do. So other than your SomeBunnies, do you make other things, or is it just SomeBunnies?
Oh, I'm glad you asked. Yeah, I'm working on Dana's Wanderlust's Christmas wheel crochet along.
The hag stitch?
The hag stitch. I did not know that stitch before, and I love it.
Isn't it wonderful?
It is so fun, and it takes a while to.
It does.
To me, crocheting is a rhythm. Which you notice my rocking chair. I got rhythm. No, it's once you get the rhythm of working in the front stitch and the back stitch, and you leave that top stitch alone, it is really fun to do. But this is my hag stitch.
Oh, it's beautiful. Can you see, Dana? Can you see? Let me make you big again. Let's see here. There. How nice is that? And isn't it fun having her draw the colors so you don't know what the things are going to be?
Yes, and she tells me, do an inch of this, do an inch of that, and then do 3 inches of this, and it's like, yes, ma'am, and I do it, and it's
don't
fun.
have to think about it, and you don't have to figure anything out. And the stitch is, it's just interesting enough that it's not but it is easy enough that once you take a few minutes, and it doesn't take long to figure it out. I think it took me about half an hour to get it really down pat.
It's just to get my brain and my eyes coordinated so that when I see that front loop that's crossways, I recognize that as the stitch I need to take.
Yes, so, absolutely.
One other thing I wanted to show you, and I thought I had it right here. So I tried to get ready.
Oh, it's hard. I try to keep everything within hand's reach, and then I get a dog in my lap, and there goes that.
It's just on the other side, so let me get it.
You betcha. Go right ahead. I have to take a picture real quick, you guys. Joe Dog has made himself a bed out of our pom-poms. So, you know, I have him sitting next to me, ready to go to celebrate for celebrations. And he's decided that he's the only thing we're celebrating today. So I got to get his picture real quick. That's so funny.
The loopy lamb. Oh, sorry.
That's pretty cozy.
The loopy lamb made is doing an Advent doll.
Oh.
And so I made this Advent doll. And this is her nightie and her slippers.
Oh my gosh, it's so cute.
And you make the doll, and then you make 24 things to go with the doll. Yeah, it sounded so good in the beginning. So I made a little dress for her. Oh, I made her a poncho.
Oh, look at that.
She has a hat.
Oh.
She has a pair of Christmas boots and a scarf. She has a white t-shirt.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
And some bib overalls.
Would you look at that?
It's a pain in the tuchus, Robin.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine that. I might have got the scarf done, and that'd been the end with that.
Well, it might wind up being the 12 days of Christmas.
There you go.
24.
Yeah. Maybe a bow for her hair. You can do a little bow.
I thought, well, I'll put the nightie and her slippers in one, because I bought some gingerbread boxes, Advent boxes on Amazon, and they're gingerbread. And I thought, well, I'll put this together. And I thought, no, I'm going to put the one in the bigger box and the slippers in the smaller box. And if it gets real close and I'm not ready yet, I'll put a slipper in 2 boxes. That's 3 items.
Mm-hmm. But yep. Wow. So now then, are you going to send that off to somebody?
Yeah, my great niece lives up in New Hampshire. So I'm going to send it up there to them.
Oh, she'll love that. Absolutely.
He's military also.
Yeah. Definitely call that 12 days of Christmas. People like you that can, because that's basically the amigurumi. And I just I'm so overwhelmed. And I have one amigurumi item, and it's right there in a box. I found it again the other day when I was cleaning. It's right there. I'm so close to being done with it. I had to order some safety eyes, and because it's for an adult, and I probably could have got away with just putting button eyes on there. But I ordered some safety eyes 2 years ago and have not gotten back to it to finish it.
Oh, Robin, mail it to me and I'll do it for you.
So it's almost done, and I can't even say what it is because that person may actually watch this. So I'll get it done eventually. I'll get it done eventually. A pain in the tuchus. Yeah, that's so cute. That's so cute. So how long have you been crocheting?
I started crocheting when I was about probably 10, 11. I had a Polish family that lived down the street from us. There were only 50 families on Morin Point, and she lived about 5, 6 houses down from us. And she would make her daughter, Paula, a skirt. And then she would crochet a sweater in one of the colors that were in the flowers in the skirt or the pattern in the skirt. And Paula always looked so nice in school because she always had coordinating clothes. I had 2 older sisters, so I got hand-me-downs. And so one day she was out in her swing crocheting, and I went and sat down and I was watching her, and she said, "Would you like to learn how?" And I said, "Yes, very much." And so she must have sat there for an hour and showed me, how to make a chain, and then you rip it out and make another chain and rip it out. And my best memory is that she sent me home with a crochet hook and a ball of yarn, that she thought she had that much confidence in me that she gave me a crochet hook and a ball of yarn. So I couldn't disappoint her. So I learned to crochet.
Wow. That is wonderful.
It's a nice memory.
Mm-hmm. That's a great memory. Yeah. That's wonderful. I think that's one thing I miss about the world we have now is we don't have that. So many of us don't have somebody in our world who can sit down and do this with us. But because of the magic of YouTube, we are still able to learn these crafts that are so very important to our society and to our individual well-being. And we're all fiber artists. We love the yarn. We love to play with the yarn and touch the yarn and hold the yarn and buy the yarn and look at the yarn. And sometimes make things with the yarn even. And So I get that, but it doesn't matter what your craft is. We were talking last night about cross stitch. We were talking about diamond painting. And there are some people that go, diamond painting, that's not an art. I think it is. If it is something that gives you peace, and it does. You can't be, that is not a multitasking activity. I can crochet and watch TV and talk to people and tell Mister to do something. Not when you're doing the diamond paint, because you got to individually choose each single one and put that in the right spot and not mess up your colors. And so it definitely
takes concentration.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely takes concentration, but it's easy enough that even the littles can do it. So
that's what I love about creativity, is each one can do what appeals to them, what is interesting to them, and what is something at their level.
Yeah.
I mean, you give a kid a crayon and you can get wonderful things. I taught 3-year-olds and there were some wonderful things. Creating with crayons is a pre-writing skill. A lot of people don't know that. But it's a pre-writing skill because kids up until they're about 5 don't have words in their heads. They only have pictures in their heads.
Interesting.
So when you give them a magic marker or a colored pencil or a crayon and they draw you a picture, they're writing. They're writing their picture in their head is now out on paper. They don't and then you could, as a teacher, you can segue that into words. And about halfway through the school year, I would buy each one of them a journal, and they would draw a picture and then tell me about their picture. And then I would write the words. And then after they learned some words, I would put them up on the bottom of the blackboard, the words that we were learning, the sounds for the letters, and learning some of them, not all of them, because there's a big difference between a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But by the end of the year, some of the kids were going over to the board and writing some of the words. They were writing their own journals with their pictures. Nice. So it's a pre-writing skill. So whenever you give a kid anything, whether it's Play-Doh or Legos or whatever, they're creating. Their brain is popping with colors and shapes and sizes, and well,
that's
awesome.
Wonderful. How long did you teach?
I taught for I don't know. How long do you have to teach before you can retire?
A lot of years.
A lot of years.
A lot of years.
I think actually I've been teaching ever since I was alive, but
that's nice. Interesting. Very cool. Very cool. So then do you have other fiber arts that you participate in other than crochet?
Not so much anymore. I'm mostly do the crochet. I do knit. I quilted for a while. I used to work for Stretch and Sew. I don't know.
Oh,
you remember Stretch and Sew?
I've heard of it.
On the West Coast, so aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, she was in Eugene, Oregon. And
Dana, have you heard of that, Stretch and Sew?
It's an old one from the 70s. Most of these people on here aren't even alive then.
I know. So what did you do for them?
I worked there, and then I taught Stretch and Sew classes. They were I can't think of her name, but she was the one who, when polyester fabrics came out, she bought a manufacturing plant and had them dye her polyester pants fabric and t-shirt fabric, and she taught classes on how to use that, because polyester was a brand new fabric. Women who sewed, they would sew something and it would come out too big, because cotton that we used to use did not stretch, and this stuff did. So it was a big thing for a long time, and I taught there, and so I know how to sew. And Then I taught quilting classes. I love quilting.
Isn't it wonderful?
You can take nothing and put it together and make something. And I think that's why I enjoy the crocheting and the knitting too, is because you take nothing and you turn it
A
into
stick
something.
and a piece of string, and then you end up with these gorgeous things.
Yep. And out of a knit and a purl. And you can get so many different, just by adding a yarn over, you get a totally different look.
Totally different look. Whether you want to or not, I learned the hard way. Like, what have I done here? Oh, you did a yarn over. Okay.
I am trying to figure out the bobble stitch on a knitting needle.
It's done. It's done.
I know it's done.
I look at somebody, Stephen West. I look at his stuff and I go, that's impossible. How did you make that happen? And then he's just like, oh, you just do this and this and this. And he gives the most wonderful instructions.
And it's so simple. You think, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Or you hear something is horrifically hard to do, like brioche. I didn't know how hard brioche was. And I watched one of his videos and I said, oh, that looks fun. That looks interesting. And then I find out that brioche is this very, very difficult thing. And I'm like, well, it didn't look that hard the way he showed it. So I wonder.
And it's important that there's so many teachers and YouTubers that do tutorials because, maybe I can learn from you, but I can't learn from channel B.
Exactly.
Because their way of doing it doesn't compute.
Well, and I've been struggling with my knitting. I've been struggling with, because I was left-handed, right-handed, left-handed, and I'm back to trying to do it right-handed because the knitting world is based on right-handed. So I'm trying to knit right-handed. Well, because of that, I can never remember, do I go this way with my yarn or do I go this way with my yarn? And I have watched videos and I have taken pictures to see it. And then somebody somewhere said, your yarn goes counterclockwise. Doesn't matter whether you're purling or knitting, it goes counterclockwise. And I'm like, it just clicked in my little brain. And so every time I'm like, nope, counterclockwise. I can do this counterclockwise. And I don't know why I can remember
I didn't know that.
Yep. Simplest
there's another tip.
Now just ding, it's there.
There's another tip.
Right? Just the simplest little thing like that has made my knitting life so much easier. And it's a struggle. It's a struggle when we're trying to learn these new things. And even like with Dana's Hag Stitch, you can have knit or crocheted for 30 years, but this is something new. And it's so new. And it's not just a combination of this. It's okay, where are we putting the hook? We're putting the hook in a different spot.
Right.
And you really got to retrain your brain to put that. And it's the same with this, connected, what do they call it? I can't remember now, but it's that connected double. And you see that there's no holes in that. There's no holes in that fabric. And this is just double crochet.
I was watching you do that the other day. That's fascinating.
Fascinating. And it's wonderful. I mean, look at this. Because I've made things for people that are like, yeah, I don't like the holes in it. But this is solid fabric. Solid fabric. And oh, Marsh, that's how you do it too? I love that. Yes, you're right, Dana. We have a very big do not take knitting tips from me, people. That is a bad decision. Trust me. I know this much about knitting.
I put a disclaimer up. I am not a professional knitter or a professional crocheter. I just am a professional SomeBunny maker.
No tips from me, but it works for my little brain. And and it's funny, even I was listening to Mikey, and I mean, the Crochet Crowd. Everybody considers him like a genius in the crochet world, and he's fabulous, and he's a professional. And he got on there the other day and said he is not allowed to get, there's that, it's not a degree, but, you can get a certification. He's not allowed to get that certification because he doesn't do things by the book. he does things the way that makes sense to him. And he had a learning disorder, and his mom used crochet to help him with his learning disorder. And to this day, when he learns how to do something, it's often very different and very backwards from what the norm or the right way is to do something. And he said, so when I'm showing you guys something, I'm not teaching you, I'm teaching me how to make this work for me. And that's the only thing I can claim. But how many of us have learned something from him that we were not able to pick up from other sources?
How many of us have learning disabilities?
I'm dyslexic and left-handed. There's a good combination. So I do struggle with, and I think that's why I have such a hard time with which way am I supposed to do the yarn. And so when he said counterclockwise, I'm just like, that I know, that I don't have to picture that I know. So
there's one stitch and I don't know what it is, but you start with a single and you end with a single crochet. And my edges were so wonky, but when they said start with a single, end with a single, it was like, okay, just that little tip made all the difference in the world. Yeah. I love YouTube streets.
Yeah, I do too. And Poppy, I would not have known that based on the stuff that you create. Is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. And
I love her yarn.
I didn't know that. I know. Isn't Poppy wonderful?
Yeah.
All of the wonderful I've learned so many stitches from her, from watching her stuff. And just so you know, Miss Poppy, I'm using all those washcloths that I made from the Stitch of the Week. She's and I didn't keep up. That's part of my attention span problem. But she does this Stitch of the Week thing, and she's making squares out of them, and they're going to sew all the squares together and have this gorgeous blanket, and each one is a different stitch. That was beyond my brain capacity. So I decided to use the cotton yarn and make a washcloth out of every stitch. And there's one or two that didn't work well. They don't work well. They're just it's too holey, too lacy. But some of them are fabulous. And now I've got a big old stack of washcloths, and I love, love, love having it, because I would never go, I need to make a washcloth. But that's a wonderful way
Isn't that the way it is? We make things and we give them away to others. We seldom keep things for ourselves.
Somebody said that. She's like, for all the crocheting you do, there's nothing. I don't see a lot in your house. And I literally looked around and I'm like, yeah, I got nothing.
I have projects that I'm going to show you.
I finish it and it's out the door to somebody. It's my way of giving love. It's just like with your SomeBunnies. This is my way of giving love. You're hurting. Let me make something for you.
You see the square frame right here? I am going to use ecru crochet cotton and do a filet crochet on that. And then I'm going to hang my stitch markers on it, because I have some beautiful stitch markers that I have been gifted and that I have purchased. And but as soon as I get ready, here comes another load of SomeBunnies. I'm telling you, I'm sending that buck out into the field and telling him not to come back for 6 months, because I've got too many bunnies in the warren.
Yep. No kidding. And Dana, you're right. The bases of it need to be taught appropriately. And I also think that's the other thing that I love about YouTube is I've learned some very simple things. My edges, I used to do a lot of this, and it's like, put a stitch marker on your last stitch, then it's not going to grow. Oh, what a good idea. Duh. But and things like that, or how to hold your yarn, or how to do a certain stitch. But sometimes we just need to not beat ourselves up for not being able to figure out something, because that's the way Miss C said I had to do it. because that's not how my brain accepts information. And
Someone
so,
said put a stitch marker in, like on a granny square,
mhm.
for instance. Put a stitch marker on the right side,
Oh
because
yeah.
if a lot of times granny squares will turn, they'll
Mhm.
twist a bit,
Yep.
but if you come to your end and you turn it and go back the other way,
Mhm.
then it keeps it straight.
Right.
But then you don't know which side is the right
Mhm.
side and which side's the wrong side. So if you've got a stitch marker on it, you
Mhm.
know. So make sure that your last round is
Yeah.
on the right side. Duh. Why didn't
Yeah.
I think of that?
Yeah. Well, and that's something I've done for a long time, but also I put one of the fancy stitch markers. We've all got the pretty stitch markers. I just bought some from AJ. AJ's personal choice. She's selling them. She's making some beautiful. Whatever you're doing with the light is killing me. I now I've got this weird thing right here now. Nope, that's not it. I think it's coming from over there. I have this weird. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't know. The sunlight has just changed, and now all of a sudden I can't see anything. But she makes these beautiful stitch markers, and I find the long ones, the long decorative ones, I don't. Oh, that's where it is. It's coming from the door. We're not used to having sunshine over there.
it rains.
Yeah, and there you go. That's it. That's it. So I'm gonna have to move. There, that's a little better. Um, the long, pretty decorative ones, I tend to not use. I'm always afraid they're going to get caught up in my yarn and stuff, but they work perfectly for marking the right and the wrong side of your fabric. And so I always have that. I always have one of those for that purpose, and then just my regular little ones that I'm like, where are they? I'm on the wrong end. My little plastic ones that look like safety pins. Those are the ones that I actually use as stitch markers for stuff. And then I always put one in my stitch so that it doesn't come out when
Right.
it's sleeping for the night.
I learned that on bunny feet.
Oh,
You would think bunny feet are so small you won't need a stitch marker, but when you go in there to get your work out, there comes about 3 rows of bunny leg, and they're little.
Yes. They are little, and you don't want to
stick my finger in there and then crochet around it. And oh,
hey,
hello, Angela.
I'm so glad you were able to pop in for a little bit.
So glad you're here.
We're learning so much about the bunnies, the SomeBunnies. So
and tricks and tips from crocheting and knitting and stuff.
Yeah, granny squares were originally done. Dana has a lot of information about granny squares. She knows a lot about the history of them and such. And I don't do a lot of granny squares because just inherently they need to be connected. And again, I think it's that attention span thing. I get my squares done and then they never get put together. So I have a tendency to not do things where they have to get put together. But Miss Dana's got that new crochet along coming up, and it's going to have motifs that will have to be put together. So she's going to have to keep my fingers to the fire and make sure that happens on that one. So how long have you been doing the SomeBunnies?
This is probably my 3rd year doing SomeBunnies.
Oh, it's fairly new.
Yeah, fairly new. Yeah.
That's interesting.
They've developed over the years. They've morphed.
Yeah, that's the way they always go. But I was just thinking, and you're not going to like this idea. Having seen those darling clothes on your doll, I think your bunnies might need some dresses and aprons and things. There's your sideline for your bunnies.
Talk to the hand.
Talk to the hand.
No, I Palushka bunny is I think it's probably a Polish or Ukrainian
Mhm.
channel, and she puts clothes on all of her bunnies, and she has different animals, and she makes, and they are absolutely to die for. Little hats
Mhm.
with intricate little flowers and zigzags, and she makes
Wow.
shoes and coats, and it's 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 absolutely
Yeah.
beautiful. I don't know how much time she
Mhm.
spends putting one together. I'm
Wow.
lucky to get a rabbit out in a day. I don't. It would probably take me 2 weeks to put clothes on it.
Oh,
So
I know. I know. Who is it? Let me think. Let me think. Charmed Grammy Crochet. She just made a bear. Cutest little thing. And she made some little clothes for the bear. I think she
they
made,
say,
do you guys remember? I think I want to say she did a little coat and maybe a shawl. I don't remember. I was watching her and I was so excited every day to see how she was coming on those things. And she's doing it with her hand in a couch because she broke her arm halfway through. So yeah,
is it a Ballard bear
it might be.
for
It might be.
Madonna?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is one of the Ballard Bears. Yeah, I think so. But it's got a couple little outfits and
How
pretty
cute!
impressed with that. Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
impressed
that's
with that.
that's too much work at this point
It is.
for
It
me.
is. And it's funny. I was telling somebody, can you estimate about how many bunnies you've made, do you think?
Somebody asked me that a while ago, and I figure over the probably about 250 bunnies at least.
Wow.
Um, when I first started making bunnies, I would buy the fiber fill,
Mm-hmm.
but then I saw on fiber fiber fill. Is that a
I don't know.
brand name, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
It, anyway, they had a thing where you could apply for a scholarship, and so if you were a charity. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to their channel and I looked it up, and they said, what is your charity name? And I said, Miss C's Cottage. And, what do you make and who do you give them to? And I filled the whole application out. Robin, they sent me a 40-pound box of fiber fill,
Wow.
polyfill, 40-pound box. It was two plastic bags smashed down into this huge box.
That'll
And I
last a
opened
couple days.
I opened the bag and the polyfill started coming up and up
Yeah.
and up and up. And the next morning it was like a push up, and it all come up out of and it took me about a year and a half to use that 40 pounds. I've ordered a
Wow.
second box. I ordered and paid for a second
Mm-hmm.
40-pound box, and I'm not through the first bag yet. So
Nice.
it's probably about 250 bunnies, I would say. Yeah.
Wow. That's fabulous. That
It,
is
it
fabulous.
I love making them. Like I said, each one comes out different. They all have their own personality,
Mm-hmm.
and they all look they all look a little different.
A little
And
different, just like in real life.
yeah,
Everyone's a little bit. Every bunny is a little different. Everybody is a little different. So we know that we give these. Yeah, that is a lot. We know that we get. And it's funny. I was just telling somebody the other day. For some reason, anymore, doesn't matter how much I like a pattern. I'm one and done. Even this turtle. I mean, I'm so in love with my turtle. It's the silliest thing, and I really, really hope that the person I give this to loves it as much as I do. I'm sure she
it's
will. I'm sure she will.
beautiful.
It's turning out beautiful. And
Uh-huh.
as of right this minute, this is everybody says, do you have a favorite project? This is it. This is the favorite project for me as of right now. This is the most fun, most interesting, most favoritist project that I've made that I can think of. But and then there's the baby blankets that you made for each one of the grandkids, and the sweater set you made for your first baby. So you know. So other than those cherished things, but I can't see me making another one because with my brain, it's like, nope, move on to the next thing. So I can't imagine having done that over and over and over.
I have probably 30 works in progress that are put into shoe boxes and stored on the shelf. And it's really difficult to go back to them. And I don't know what it is about these bunnies, but I just can't stop making them.
Well, that's it. You found something that it's a part of your heart, and we
It's the
can tell.
first thing I've made that I want to continue to make.
Mm-hmm. And boy, people adore them. I know there's people on here right now that were blessed with one of your bunnies, and they just absolutely love them.
It
Absolutely.
amazes me that these silly little bunnies, I love each one of them and I hate to part with them, but it just always amazes me. I will walk up to someone in a parking lot. One day, a lady was taking things out of her trunk of her car and putting them in a shopping cart, and she had it appeared to be an older sister or mother with her in a wheelchair. And the woman did not look happy. She was taking these things out and putting them in the cart and I told Elmo, I said, "Will you pull over there next to that car and stop?" And he's like, "All
Here
right,"
we go.
because he knows me. And when the spirit moves, I have to listen.
Yeah.
So he drove me over next to her car, and I got out and I went up and I said, "I'm Miss C. I live at Miss C's cottage and I make SomeBunnies." And I said, "Would you mind if I give you a SomeBunny?" And she just looked at me like I was crazy. But,
Crazy.
I would imagine I looked crazy to her at that point. And so I went back to the car and I just pulled out a bunny and I brought it over to her and I said, "I don't know what kind of a day you're having or what's going on in your life, but it looks to me like you need to know that somebody loves you." And I gave her that bunny. I got cold chills. Robbin, she pulled it out of the plastic bag and she looked at it and she pulled it up next to her and hugged it and started crying. And I knew right then that I had done the thing God wanted me to do, because she needed that bunny for some reason I will never know.
Yeah.
But God knew. And 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 they just grown from there. And people have wanted them, and I make them for people that I love, that I see, that I know need to know that somebody loves them. And then all of a sudden on YouTube, it was like, "I want a somebody." And so Elmo said, you can't sell them because then you got the IRS breathing. He worked for the government. You got the IRS and the FBI and the CIA work knocking on your door, and you have to fill out forms. And I'm like, okay, I won't
Keep
sell
track
it.
of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. But he says, "But you could let them be adopted out for an adoption fee, a donation of adoption fee to cover the cost of the yarn and the shipping." It's like, oh, I guess I could do that. So that's what I've decided to do is, but they only can go to good homes. If you don't have a good home, I don't care how much money you pay, you're not getting one.
Right.
Because my bunnies are special.
They are. They're very special. They're very special. So if someone needs to adopt one, what is the process? You need to write this down, because I need to adopt one for that baby. That new baby's going to need a lot of love.
Well, if anyone wants to adopt a SomeBunny, they need to email me or Gmail me, actually. It's misscscottage@gmail.com. And tell me whether you want a buck or a doe. And if you have a color preference. If not, you'll get a brown or a gray or a black or a white or a more natural colored bunny, because I like those. But if you would rather have a rainbow bunny, I think I showed you my rainbow bunny.
I love the rainbow bunny.
If you want a rainbow bunny, I will make a rainbow bunny. And I've made purple bunnies. I've made happy color bunnies. I've made watercolored bunnies.
Ooh.
People have a preference. I will try and it's like Christy from the Crochet Creations. She has this thing on her live where you can challenge her
Mm-hmm.
and tell her the weight that you want and the color that you want, and then she goes stash digging and sees if she can come up with one. So, if you have a color that you would like, I will do my best to make a bunny your color. Um, Let me know whether it's for a child or an adult, and so I have some inkling of where to start with a story.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not going to have the bunny hop out in the middle of the pasture and make shapes out of the clouds and look at the colors, and those are kids things. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Oh, Sally. Oh, I can't get to it. Puppy move so I can get to our thing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Sally,
you.
you're
Thank
awesome.
you. You are awesome. You are awesome. Oh, I got to write your name down in the book. This is working out really well for me to have my book right here handy. Write it right down here. That is
I am
fabulous.
so scattered, and I recently am thinking that I am on the autism scale. I
Mm-hmm.
found a new channel, and she began to say, as an adult, looking back over her life, she did this and this and this and this and this and this. And then a couple of years ago, she asked for a test to be treated for autism, and she is indeed autistic. And I'm
Interesting.
thinking she began to tell all the things that she has done throughout her life, and it's like, OMG, maybe I should get a test.
Yeah. I know. I was just telling Mister yesterday. I was doing some of my volunteer work, and it's a volunteer job that I have done for 25 years, and I love it. I love
Oh
it.
my goodness.
And I was doing it the other night, and I'm like, I'm not getting joy from this anymore.
Oh.
This isn't making me happy. And part of it is it's a complete different group of people, and not that there's anything wrong with them. And they're very sociable and very friendly, but I don't have the connection with them that I used to have with that organization. And
Mhm.
I'm like,
It makes a difference.
yeah. And I'm just like you said, I'm not getting the joy. And I am a person that whenever there's a volunteer thing, sign me up. I'm the first one. And I think I'm just feeling overwhelmed with all the little bits. I feel like I'm getting pecked to death by all the little
Oh,
bits. And I told him the other day, I said, I think I need to reevaluate and cut out some things. And that might be the thing that goes. And I'll be very, very sad because I love doing it, but I'm
you'll
not
find
feeling
another
the
thing to volunteer for, Robin.
Oh, there'll be 100 other things.
You'll
And
find
so,
something.
yeah, but it's funny, different stages of our life, what we're doing and
Hmm.
what's happening in our worlds.
I'm a
So,
firm believer. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it.
mhm,
I'm 75. I don't have that many years left, 10, maybe 15.
mhm.
Um, I'm going to
Don't
spend
hold that.
those days having fun,
Mhm.
enjoying what I do, taking one day at a time and just loving the heck out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Dana, drive
So,
carefully.
yes, Dana. Dana, she's got these things that she puts on her tires in places where they have to have chains. It's called socks.
I
There's
just
some
saw
kind of
that.
a fabric tire cover for when she's in the ice and snow. And guys, you guys need to fingers crossed. And if you're a praying person, this is a time she's got to take that 80,000-pound rig down a steep, icy, snowy grade today.
Whoa.
So we need to
20 miles of it.
20 miles. It's going to be a long, miserable drive for her.
Wow.
So
I will be
yeah,
praying for her.
yeah, we all need to keep her in our thoughts and prayers this morning. Every day, all the drivers, every day, not just Miss Dana, but especially Miss Dana.
Especially. I love you, Saf.
No, she's right. I agree. I agree 100%. And it's funny. When I invite people to my lives, I want to make sure that the person is a good fit for our channel. And you never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to get. Even when you see somebody that does a channel and you watch, and I always go and watch their videos and see how they communicate. And because, I'm silly and I talk fast and I'm loud. And some of these people are just like a little mouse. And I'm like, I'm not sure if that's going to work. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to draw them out enough for my audience to be interested. And so when you popped up this morning, I'm like, oh, it's Grandma. And I just immediately felt comfortable with you.
Oh, good. I'm glad, because you do. You don't get to see a lot of faces that go with the names.
Yeah.
And so, because my imagination and my brain, I think of what I think people look like, and then when you do see a picture of them, sometimes you're really surprised.
Yes.
They don't look anything like you thought they would.
And
they're
I got to tell you guys, and I am guilty of, I don't know the word, but judging somebody on the way they look. I'm guilty of that. And there's a gal, and I was looking for my phone so I could find her. There's this gal, and she is, when I first saw her picture on there, on her little thing, and I think she only does shorts, but her hair is like bright pink or bright blue, and she's got tattoos on her hands and her arms, and she wears a nose ring, and she's got the piercings, and I'm like, really? And I'm listening to this lady because she's got the shorts, and she talks about raising her children, and it's in shorts, and she does these things that's like purposeful or mindful or something like that. And she'll say in her little short, she'll have the example of like, the perfect mom in the perfect situation. And then there's reality and how she really deals with these situations and explains why this works for children. And I don't even have kids anymore to raise. And I find myself, I see her new video and they are amazing. The information that she is putting across is fabulous. And I wish I could find her thing. She does these things about the lunchbox. And it's her daughter's like 13-ish, and she'll just dump stuff into a lunchbox. And it'll be like, she'll put a thing of ranch dressing in a plastic bag and throw in a handful of carrots. And, it's just, you never know what this kid is going to put in these lunch boxes. And it's so interesting to watch her videos. I haven't seen one in a couple of days, but I 100% had made an opinion based on her appearance, and I was 1,000% wrong. She is just, and if I ever find one, I'll put a link on that's what I'll do. If I ever find one, next time I find one, I'll put a link on my community page. So if you see this unusual link on there, she's just mesmerizing. The information that she gives and the way that she comes across is so real. You just know. I mean, it's just like, this is my house. It's the kids and it's the chaos. And how am I going to deal with this on any given minute? And it's fabulous. It's fabulous. No, I did not see her plastic pants video. That sounds wonderful. I was just looking at the one where the kid is starving to death while she's cooking dinner. And, she's really good at, these are your two choices. These are the two options that you have. And, one of them is go in your room and play and think about something else until dinner. And the other one is sit in here and visit with me while we're cooking. Oh, you want to come sit with me? Great. Come on in. And it's just like so much better than I'm cooking dinner. Get out of my kitchen. Leave me alone, And you as a teacher will probably get a big kick out of her videos. And it's just amazing to me. But I 100% saw her picture on that. I'm like, I am not watching this. What kind of ding dong is this? And one of the smartest ladies I've run across on YouTube. I ought to see if I can get a hold of her for a video. But yeah, she's fabulous. She is so funny. So funny. But
hello, Lisa, the Grammy Scattered.
Hi. So, so we just basically have to contact you and explain what our need is. And then we'll see if we qualify. We have to go through the adoption process. We have to apply. We have to
Fill out the application
fill out the
process.
application. Let them know what the home situation is and
The names and the ages and
to adopt.
And if it's a good home, I will adopt out a bunny. If it's not a good home, forget it. You could send me $5,000 and you would not get a bunny, but I would go yarn shopping.
There you go. For people that really need the bunnies.
For others, yes.
Do you have a good yarn selection in your area, or do you have to do a lot by mail?
We live right between half an hour from Lake City, which has a Hobby Lobby. And our Michael's up there closed, but it kept going down and down and down, so it needed to close actually. And then we are a half an hour north of Gainesville, Florida, where the university is, and they have a Hobby Lobby. They have a Joann's and a Michael's.
Oh,
the little local yarn shop that was there closed, but they have those 3 shops. So I do have a good variety. Plus, we've got an Ollie's. And we're about
we don't have those here.
No Ollie's?
Mm-mm.
We have an Ollie's in Gainesville. Plus, there is one in Ocala, which is about an hour south of us, which they also have a Hobby Lobby, a Joann's, and a Michael's. So there's also a hobby store down there that Elmo absolutely loves because he can get train stuff there, and he's a HO train enthusiast. So when he goes down to get train stuff, Miss C goes with him and gets yarn stuff for bunnies.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I do the majority of my stuff online. Obviously here in town there are stores to go to, but the selection and they have every color, they have every weight, and I do buy some. And it's funny, I've never been a Hobby Lobby person, and I find myself more and more going there because I know they're going to have the best selection of colors. And
they have a variety now too. They used to just carry their own yarn, and then they started with a different brand, and now they've got that or hand dyed,
and the hand dyed. And that's what I was just going to say. Before, if they didn't have this, they would carry a company that had this. Well, now they make this. So whatever you're looking for, they pretty much are going to have.
And they are a good yarn. They're a reliable yarn. You're going to get the same 4-weight yarn through your different colors. Of course, there's always a variation in dyes. The different dyes make the yarn weigh a little bit more, a little bit less. But you're going to get a good quality yarn. I have been ordering from Premier. I do like Premier yarns. Yeah, I do like
Premier. I'm using their basic anti-pilling for my Sophie's Universe. So when I'm done with Trevor, then I'm going to I told Mister I'd make him a vest. So that's the next thing that I'm going to start. And then when I'm done with that, I'm going to start Sophie's Universe.
That's quite intricate too, isn't it?
Very, very. But it's got, I can't reach it because the dog's asleep. But the book is like this thick. The pattern book is like that thick. But it's every page. It's not like pages and pages and pages of words. Every page has about 10 pictures and then a very clear explanation of what you do. And so, and every row has the stitch by stitch instructions. So that's why it's so big. And I just made page markers for the chapters. 16 chapters, I think. 16, and each chapter covers 3 or 4 rows. I don't remember exactly. Yeah, we do.
I watched Poppy order some yarn, and it was so beautiful. And I said, I have to have that yarn. And she said, okay, well, she'd sell it to me for, it was a reasonable price for hand dyed yarn. And I
Mhm.
said, I think send me 2 skeins or whatever she dyed that day. And she said, well, let me check into the shipping and then I'll get back with you with the total. And I said, okay. So I figured, I don't remember what the yarn was, but it was reasonable.
Mhm.
So she comes back, well, going out of England fee is this, coming into the United States fee is this, shipping is this, tax is this. Your 2 skeins of yarn will be $3,489.21. And
Yeah.
I was like, crap.
Yeah. Yeah, it's terrible. I got all excited and bought some yarn the other day, and I thought, oh, the shipping, this isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I went through the whole process. And when I was done, that shipping was based on it being sent to the UK. My shipping was entirely different. So the shipping was as much as the yarn was. And
Yeah, I went ahead and got it because I had given her, I had promised.
Sure.
And it's beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful yarn. But I told her next time I'll wait till shipping comes down before she sends me anything.
Yeah, and I just think that overseas shipping, and that is an issue that we as YouTubers have when we have guests on our shows from all over the world. And I know, Saf, you're not from here local. I can't remember, of course, where you're from, but I do know you're not from the US. And we want to provide these gifts for people, but we just can't. We just can't. I can't send something, a $5 item and spend $40 to ship it. So
I have sent bunnies to Canada, and
Mhm.
usually, the yarn runs about $4.99 a skein, Hobby Lobby
Mhm.
yarn, and the shipping in US is between $6 and $7,
Right.
maybe a little more. It's less than 10.
Mhm.
So you go
Yeah.
to send to Canada, and it's more like $30. It can be up to
Yeah, I sent something
$30.
to Canada a few months ago, and the package weighed 3 pounds. 3 pounds, and it cost me $56 to ship it.
Yeah. See, my bunnies don't cost that much, but it's still
Mhm.
$30 to ship them.
Yeah.
And I don't mind because it's a mission for me.
Mhm.
I bunnies are a gift, and I stopped going to church. COVID thing. I've stopped going
Mhm.
to church, and in the meantime, my church moved, and I don't know where they are because I haven't kept in touch. So my tithe is going nowhere. So I told Elmo, you know what? I'm going to spend my tithe in yarn and shipping because it's a
Oh,
God thing anyway. He knows
yeah.
where,
Yeah.
he gives it to me, and I'm going to use it to give to others. So I don't like shipping with a $30 shipping fee, but then again, I can't complain because it's,
Yeah.
it's my tithe. So
That's your thing. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Here we go. Whack-a-mole. Whack-a-mole.
oh, look at there.
See,
Gee, and I thought my bunnies were fun.
he knows we're all beautiful girls. How do I get rid of it?
I'm 75.
Report. We're still beautiful. We're still beautiful.
Elmo tells me my beauty comes from the inside.
Well, you're lovely from the outside as well. Thank you, Spring. Okay.
Have you seen these wrinkles?
Yeah, we earn every one of those wrinkles.
You bet. You bet we
Every
have.
one of these gray hairs. I saw myself in a
Well,
picture.
this is not blonde. This is, I used to do it. I used to color it when it started going gray. But every time I would color it, God would put it back the way he wanted it. So I finally said, okay, God, I give up.
That's true. That is absolutely true. Yeah, I saw a picture taken from this angle a couple months ago, and I was like, when did I get gray like that? And my people are like, you've been like that for years.
Yeah.
But it was just the ankle I had never seen, and it threw me. Thank you, guys. Thank you for getting the whack-a-troll. It's not been so bad lately. The first couple of weeks I was doing lives, it was like constantly we had the trolls. But wow, so that's wonderful. So it sounds like you got your whole process set up, and you got the kind of yarns.
This is how I get my kicks.
So nice.
Making bunnies.
Yeah.
I don't have to go on other people's lives and say weird things. I just do weird things.
No, you don't do weird things at all. That is so funny. It is beautiful. So beautiful. And we are very, very, we're very grateful that you are doing this. And because it's just like you said, people all over the net are talking about your bunnies.
It amazes me. People that I don't know about SomeBunnies.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
Yeah. So, oops, there's Miss Morgan. We had a troll. We had to get the troll. Uh-oh. So, I think it's wonderful what you're doing. And I think all of us are so happy that we now have the ability to request an adoption, and understanding completely that you may not be able to fulfill each and every one of our wishes. And I
check you all out on YouTube before I send out
Yes,
no, it's not really that bad.
It's a very, very extensive adoption process, and the waiting is just several years long. So,
no, but I'll tell you, I'm booked through Christmas.
Oh, I bet you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Poppy. Thanks, Poppy. So, okie dokie. Well, I think we're coming up on an hour and a half. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it amazing that we
feel that long? You've made me very comfortable. So
I'm so glad. Hint, some people that I have invited who have said they're too scared to come on. Hint.
No. I was a bit apprehensive, but the minute Robbin popped up, it all went away. It's been wonderful. I've really enjoyed it.
Good. I am so glad. And I'm so very pleased to have been able to share a little bit about what you do. And I don't think there's anybody on here that didn't already know about you, but it was so wonderful to learn about the background and why you do what you do.
Thank you.
It's been delightful. So
I don't do me too much glory here, because I'm waiting for my glory up there when I get there. So, I don't want down here to take away.
I think you've already earned your way into the pearly gates.
Oh, I don't know about that. You don't know the other me.
That's the way it is with all of us. I better start making some bunnies, because I got a lot to make up for.
Do you want me to send you the pattern?
Thank you so much, Miss C. I appreciate you coming on and sharing with us. And I know that I just feel so wonderful having spent this time with you. You've made my day. You've absolutely made my day.
I think I have made a new friend, and I do appreciate the opportunity to come on and share my bunnies and share a little bit about me. So thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. We'll see you soon. And
bye-bye, all.
Bye-bye. Don't forget, guys, Monday night, we have bingo, of course, every Monday. And then next Tuesday, our guest is Lady Bird Loves. And she's coming from the UK. So poor thing. I think we've got quite a time difference as well. And we're all excited to get to learn and know. She is one busy girl. She's got a lot of irons in the fire. So I'm excited to learn more about her and see how she ticks. I appreciate everybody joining us today. And yeah, it's wonderful to put a face with her, because I did not know what to expect at all. And she was just an absolute delight. And it was so funny. I always get on whenever I have a guest. I get on about 15 minutes before the show. So we have a minute to chat and just kind of, fill each other out. Okay. So it's 5:30 in the evening there. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you, Poppy. That helps me. That helps my brain. Boy, that is a big difference. But usually I'm on there about 15 minutes ahead of time and we visit for a few minutes. And I popped on there at 15 minutes before, and there she was sitting and waiting for me. I'm like, oh, that doesn't usually happen. Trust me. Sometimes it's like 1 minute before and I'm calling Dana. Dana, are you on standby? I don't know if I got a guest or not. So that was really a lot of fun. And then we just started chatting away and it just felt very, very comfortable. And it is like that a lot of times with my guests. And I think that's one of the reasons that they come across and have such a comfortable time when we're chatting on here, because we are. And that's what I tell folks when I invite them. This is not hardcore. This isn't Dateline. This is a couple of people talking about yarn and all the things we love to do. So it's pretty comfortable. So I'm going to let you guys go for today. Today was a little shorter, so you can get on with your actual things you need to do. We have a huge snowstorm coming. We are expecting a foot, and I know it doesn't compare to what New York got. What was that, 2 weeks ago or a week ago? But for us, a foot of snow overnight is significant. So we need to get prepared for that. Yes, what an amazing lady to just say, these bunnies need homes and they need to go to people that need them. And it's just, she's walking the walk. So many of us are like, oh, those poor people, they wish I could give them a hug. And this is she's walking the walk. So thank you so very much, Jennifer. That's what I want. The whole point of these was for us to get to meet and talk to some people just like her, where we know this much about them, but we really want to get into and see how things go and what started this and why you do this. And I think we've met some wonderful people along the way. And I've got some really great people lined up over the next few weeks as well. And everybody, it's hard for me to, I always get so excited with the next person I'm going to interview, but I've loved them all. There hasn't been a single interview so far where I've gone, well, that was a nightmare. That one shouldn't have happened. Even in the situations where for whatever reason somebody couldn't make it, it's all turned out perfectly fine. And yes, I'm still very, very nervous up to the second, waiting for that person to show up in my green room. But even without that, I know there's things I can do now. I'm not nearly as afraid of that situation as I was when I first started out. She was very, very sweet. And I love the story behind the bunnies. And I think it's so cool that, like she said, she took a pattern and just ran with it and made it her own. And each of the bunnies they're not like every single one is exactly the same. This one's got a little bigger ears. This one's tail is a little bigger. This one's toes are a little different. And so it's just amazing. Just absolutely amazing. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you all so very much for joining us today. And if you enjoyed this interview, this is one that I would really like to see shared out. If you wouldn't mind, once this link comes on, if you wouldn't mind popping that into your community page, or maybe popping it to somebody who needs to hear about SomeBunnies. I think this is one that we really do need to share out. I know I'm going to be doing that. So thank you guys so much. And we will see you Monday for bingo, 5 o'clock bingo, assuming we're not under a mountain of snow. Oh, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Even then, shouldn't follow your Wi-Fi.